I bid you welcome. I shall be your game master for this tale. It is a pleasure to have you. Now then, just like this, I will be using cards to draw you into the world of this story. From time to time, you may be presented with choices like this. Incorrect. It doesn't mean anything, but still. You're following along with all this, I trust? Moving on, I believe your experience of the story will be shaped in no small part by my narration. As such, I hope you'll have rather more fun keeping the sound on while you play. That said, rest assured that the game remains enjoyable without sound. My words will be subtitled just as they are now. With the formalities sorted, we're all ready to begin the game. My. Yeah, you can hear the sound of the waves. Oh, how very evocative. Now then, let's begin our tale. Allow me to welcome you to the world of Voice of Cards. You're about to step into the shoes of the hero of this tale as he sets forth on a grand adventure. Said adventure takes place in a remote part of the sea, in which ancient traditions are alive and well. You will touch the hearts of many who dwell in this place as you journey to change fate's promise of untold ruin. I believe in you. I believe your journey will be a success. And on that note, it is time for that journey to begin. May the waves see you safely across the tides. Our story begins in a secluded grotto. The sound of the waves echoes softly across the rock walls. A solitary young man stands in front of a ship floating in the water. Brush in hand, he busies himself painting the vessel. Once he finishes his work, he decides to carve his name into the side of the hull. A finishing touch. You carve your name in small lettering into the ship. Oh, a handsome name, that. This young lad is the hero of our tale, and your window into the world. You're a navigator without a ship, and your soul yearns to set out upon the ocean blue, for your own reasons. You have spent a great deal of time repairing the wrecked ship before you, in the hopes of crafting a partner, aboard which you might sail the high seas. The sound of a wooden box tumbling to the ground rips through the grotto. You heave a deep sigh and decide to head over to the source of the racket. You need to head over to the source of the noise, so you turn back around. The source of the noise turns out to be a young girl. It looks as though she has knocked over a wooden box, packed with shipbuilding supplies, and is in quite a panic about it. The girl's name is Laty. You came across her some time ago, collapsed on a beach. You attempted to bring her to a nearby village, but she was quite opposed to the idea for some reason. As such, she has been helping you repair the ship here. You're not quite sure how to respond to her knocking the box over. It's okay, you say in a gentle, reassuring tone. Laty's worried expression melts away, replaced by one of relief. You move to leave the grotto, saying, I'm going to the village to get some food. Laty waves goodbye, her forlorn smile seeing you off. The young woman has lost her ability to speak. Neither of you have any knowledge of how she ended up in her situation, and you spend many quiet hours together in the grotto. The scent of the sea and a sense of isolation hang heavy in the air. The island is bound for ruin and has had its name since before any can really recall. This is Omega Isle. You take a deep breath and then set out for the nearby Omega Village, which shares the island's name.
Oh, Air Trust. At fail of rule to attack and deal damage. Ini goldnya, abilitiesnya punya. Thesaurus, Iron Sword, Simple Breastplate, Thesaurus. Tidak ada party. Loh, mana? Oh, ke menu. Oh, ini item. You don't have any key item collection. Oke. Save dulu dong. Lucu. Options. Interestnya apa? Screen size, order. Udah. Bener kan? Order. Oke.
Allow me to welcome you to the world of Voice of Cards. Allow me to welcome you to the world of Voice of. Allow me to welcome you to the world of Voice of Cards.
Kalian aja semuanya. Ya udah semua sih. Terus suruh kemana nih? Make your way east of the secret grotto. Oke. Nggak bisa. Oh, ini laut cuy. Ini hutan. Ya aku harus ke timur. Waduh, luas banget ya. Ada suara ini. Suara hutan. Apa nih?
An old spire stands tall before you. Alas, there's little reason to go poking around within.
Oh, oke. Mungkin nanti bakal kesini sih.
You have arrived near the entrance of the village. You spy a shadow skulking about in the midst of a thicket. The shadows fall away
Monster.
to reveal a small monster. It's unusual to see one this close to the village. It might be cute, but it's still a monster. And a threat. You must slay the beast before it can cause trouble or worse in the village.
Battle ya. Ini gimana caranya? Tap. Terus. Oh, di drag. Wih. Asoy.
Good work.
Ini XP, ini gold. Yes.
Gorgeous flower beds burst with blossoms that will one day wilt and wither away, much like Omega Village itself. This is a village that has accepted its fate to be but a moment in time, destined to fade. An island in want of a maiden shall fall, he mutters, to no one in particular. How may I help you? The proprietor inquires.
Oh, ini dia nih. Beli senjatanya di sini. Duitku 200, senjatanya 200-an semua. Oke. Masih miskin.
Will that be all? The proprietor asks.
Ya, orang nggak beli apa-apa. Senjata, armor, dan aksesoris itu bisa efektif kalau kamu equip ke karaktermu. Open menu terus ke equipment. Ya standar lah ya. Ke item
How
shop.
may I help you? The proprietor inquires.
Proprietor inquires. Ya, item. Oh, salve. Apa salve? Antidote butuh sini. Kita beli 2. Nah, udah beli dah. Cekring. Terus apa lagi tuh? Free seal course. Revive. Oh, banyak itemnya ya. Bisa escape. Ini umum sih, paralysis ini umum. Paralyze. Bisa satu aja.
Will that be all?
Ya
The
udah.
proprietor asks.
Thank you. Sekarang coba kesini. Ada siapa nih? Oh, ada Bamba.
diligently cleans the grounds of the maiden shrine.
Dia lagi bersih-bersih mbak-mbaknya. Ini maiden shrine. Oke.
The windows are closed, and it's too dark to see much inside.
Itu kuil ya
All
kayaknya.
sound seems to fall away.
Ini aku harus ke Elder House. Cuma kita harus ngobrol-ngobrol dulu.
I wish
The
I
cewek.
got to be the maiden, the girl says mournfully, dressed head to toe in maiden garb, and clearly pretending to be such.
Oh, dia pengen jadi maiden.
This might be the last time I see this flower bed, the boy says, gazing forlornly at the flowers.
Katanya terakhir kali dia bisa melihat. Mungkin itu terakhir kali dia bisa melihat bunganya. Ini rumahku.
Home sweet home.
Oh, aku tinggal di sini, gak taunya. Kalah.
This is no time for a nap. You turn around and walk out the door. How may I help you? The proprietor inquires.
Apa aja aksesorisnya? Oh ya, aksesoris standar lah ya.
Will that be all? The
Yep.
proprietor asks.
Sini.
You stop in at the mayor's house and discover that he already has a guest. The two are engaged in discussion.
Oh, mayornya udah ada tamu.
You listen in and learn that they are troubled by monsters that have appeared
Oh,
near the village
ada monster
and have been
deket
devouring precious stores of food.
desa.
The villager sighs deeply. I suppose it's about the end.
Oh,
for the
kayaknya
village,
desa
they say
nih, desa
flatly
miskin
before
kayaknya.
departing the mayor's home. The man left standing in the room has a certain sagacity about him. He notices you waiting and inclines his head in greeting. His name is Grief.
Greece
As the village's mayor,
Village
he
Mayor.
spends his days dealing with all manner of happenings around town. He looks to be at a loss over the damage being caused by the monsters. It would likely be a simple matter for you to deal with the beasts.
Oh, kayaknya kita harus membasmi monster-monster. Bantu, oke. Oh, tapi kan warganya itu kekurangan makanan ya. Ya harus baik lah, harus baik.
You offer to deal with the monsters, and Grief replies with his thanks. You're always a big help.
Oke.
This is part of your daily routine. You work to sort out the village's troubles in order to procure food to eat.
Oh, berarti dia ini emang ini sih, apa namanya? Pemuda penyelesai semuanya. Berarti kita keluar dulu. Dan kita harus...
A monster has appeared
Nah,
before.
ini dia monsternya nih.
It holds what's left of a piece of fruit in its teeth.
Makan buah
And
padahal
its mouth
monsternya.
with a sigh you mutter.
Let's
Let's
get
get
this
this over with
with.
then. And ready your weapon.
Kring.
Hope you win.
The number in red ini tuh AHP. Oke, HP. Kalau 0 KO. Oh, sebelah kiri tuh attack, sebelah kanan tuh defense. Give careful consideration to your and your opponent's values before acting. Ah, oke. Berarti serangan musuh ini 10, defense-nya kita 9. Jadi aman. Oh, ini bisa lihat statusnya kayak gini. Ternyata. Coba klik musuhnya bisa nggak? Oh iya, bisa. Mantap. Oke. Generate 1 gem. Ini aja. Wah, KO dia. Oke. Kayak tutorial katanya. Cerit. Mantap. Easy. Level up tiba-tiba.
With practiced skill, you swing your weapon. The blade flashes through the monster's throat.
Hilang satu.
Merciless, perfect aim. It would appear that you are quite accustomed to killing. You wipe the blood off
siapa
your
tuh?
weapon. As you do, you notice a shadow in the distance. Another monster, perhaps?
Now then, how do you get rid of the monsters? Looking on the card ever so slightly might reveal what it contains. Go in close for the kill. Apa katanya? Silently you creep. You take the weapon on. Nanti hilang lagi. Ini aja lebih aman. Before hurting at the shadow. And bring up your blade. Ini aja deh.
You take the weapon on your back and aim it carefully before hurling it at the shadow with great force. It flies toward your target, tracing a perfect parabola.
Kena kah?
However, the tip of the spear strikes just slightly to the side of the shadow,
Lari dia.
which runs off. Whatever the shadow was, it was taken aback by your unexpected assault. It looks like it ran off in the direction of the spire near the village.
Spire? Apa itu spire? Northwest. Oke. Iya, boleh. Ya. Yap. Northwest kan? Sini. Oh, ini pantai. Laut. Ini apa?
Beyond the pier, the ocean sprawls out in all directions, beckoning you to adventure.
Oh, ceritanya lagi di laut ini. Ya. Interesting. Wis. Ya, iyalah mereka lagi. Oke. Gini kah? Enggak jadi. Gimana scrollnya? Oh gini. Oke. Fire, water, bolt, wind, light, and dark. Card take more damage from elements. Okay. Loh, kok sakit? Loh, level up lagi. 3 attack. Apaan enemy story itu? Aneh. Yes. Ke dungeon nih. Tuh, kok ada cewek itu lagi?
The ship you've constructed gently bobs in the waves. You run your hand along its hull in admiration. and then you hear Laty's stomach rumbling. You'd best get her something to eat.
Oh, kita harus ngasih makan dia. Northwest kan ke sini. Di sini Northwest. Ya. Tapi nggak bisa. Oh, nggak bisa ya. Oke. Masuk lagi.
Don't hold back.
Ini dulu. Loh, kuat loh. Kok kuat ya? Anjir. Oh, itu status attack-nya. Jadi attack down. Oh ya. Coba 3 attack. Waduh. Nice. Wait, tidur dulu. Bahaya. Nyawanya tinggal 10. Rest.
You lay yourself down and close your eyes.
Nice. Aduh, enak banget nih musiknya. Ini game cocok buat melepas penat nih. Duh, mana coba? Northwest kan? Northwest of Omega. Oh, ala Spire. Astaga. Kayak orang tolol aku.
You stand before the Spirit Spire, said to have been erected to protect the island. Yet with the villagers having accepted ruination, it now stands forlorn, an edifice. This place, so named for the spirits themselves, is one that the villagers do not enter. Despite this, you say to yourself, I have to get rid of the monster, and decide to profane the place with your presence.
Oke. Harus hunt down the monster. Oh, bisa. Set. Pintu. Kamu yang akan masuk spirit.
There are some words etched into the door, but they are weathered and difficult to read.
Oh, dia buka
Worried
pintu.
though you are about whatever the words might say, you nonetheless try pushing the handle. With some protest, the door groans open.
Musiknya near banget nih musiknya. Wah, ini dia.
You spy the shadow of the monster you encountered earlier, Your insight that it had taken refuge in the spire has proven a good one. The shadow notices your presence and flies off at blinding speed. You can't help but admire the
Kabur ya.
rapid escape, though it looks like you're back to chasing after a shadow.
Ya tapi aku maunya nggak ke situ sih. Aku maunya ke sini-sini dulu. Siapa tahu ada sesuatu kan? Nggak taunya nggak ada apa-apa. Oh, ada tangga cuy. Yes.
You survey your surroundings, relying on the shafts of sunlight filtering in through the windows. However, you're unable to see the monster from where you are.
Gak ada monster. Altar.
In the back of the large hall, there is an altar, which evinces a sense of deep mystery. The altar is wrought of a strange kind of stone, its surface polished smooth. It looks as though it's meant for use in some important ritual. You approach the altar to check that there are no places for monsters to hide themselves away inside it. In reply to the mysterious and unidentifiable voice that suddenly rent the silence, you ask in a sharp tone, "Who's there?" You strain your ears, trying to make out the broken snippets of words echoing off the chamber walls. After speaking a word that rings familiar to your ears, Laty, the voice becomes impossible to hear. It cannot be. Could you truly have heard the voice of the spirit from the maiden's myth passed down on the island? All signs of the monster you were in pursuit of seem to have vanished. For the time being, you decide to return to the village and report your success.
Wah, emang tadi itu monsternya? Oh iya. Waduh, ada suara langkahnya dong. Yes. Nah, terus kesini. Harus ke Laty dulu. Kita cari. Ya. Masih minta makan, bukannya langsung tanyain, tak makan.
When you arrive at the mayor's house, there is a young visitor already there. She looks to be making an impact. In a wearied voice, Greeth replies, "There is no longer any maiden in our village." Admonished, the girl leaves the house with disappointment written across her expression. You inform the mayor that you've taken care of the monsters around town. As thanks for completing the job, the mayor hands you a basket of fruit.
Kasih buah.
Oh, good, you think to yourself. Another day, another basket of fruit.
Seru juga ada background story-nya.
You re-enter the grotto and announce your return. On a normal day, Laty would already have zipped over to greet you. But today, nothing. You walk over to Laty and discover that she is sound asleep. Life in the grotto is not one of creature comforts. Rather, a fair few inconveniences. You've tried several times to bring Laty to the village, but she was adamantly opposed on every occasion. You sometimes catch glimpses of her face while she sleeps. Always it is contorted in anguish, as though she is in the throes of a terrible nightmare. You notice a bulky book lying open next to Laty, filled with carefully drawn words and images. It seems to be some kind of picture book that Laty made herself. You know, I confess, I am a bit curious. Unable to overcome your curiosity, you decide to take a look at the picture book. Beside evocative images of deep forests and towering mountain ranges, Laty has written a story patterned after the maiden's myth. The picture book story is set in a small village replete with nature. The village enjoys the promise of peace and tranquility, thanks to the young woman born to be the maiden. The maiden goes before the altar to perform a ritual, which invokes the power of a great spirit to protect the village. You look over the artwork, a spitting recreation of the altar you saw in the spire, and think back on the mysterious voice. The voice claimed it was a spirit, and you're certain it spoke Laty's name. You are so caught up in the thoughts racing through your head that you fail to notice Laty had awakened. Laty seems embarrassed that you've seen her book. Tears prick the corners of her eyes. If Laty were indeed the maiden, it would be no exaggeration to call her the very light of hope, a protective force that could save the island from its encroaching ruin. With faint expectation tightening your chest, you consider taking her to the altar in the spire. You've given Laty some of the fruit you brought back. She dreamily stuffs some of it into her mouth. Maybe she likes it. Your stomach rumbles as you watch her, and together, the two of you enjoy a light meal. You take Laty with you and return to the spire. As you approach the entrance of the spire, the staff that Laty clutches close begins to emit a faint light. Seeing the mysterious light, you are convinced. Laty has a deep connection to the spire, her expression uneasy. Laty takes hold of your sleeve with a tentative touch.
Kelebihan anjir. Gimana dah? Ntar kupasin dulu. Segini. Oke, segini deh. Yes.
You stand before the altar once more, bathed in an air of mysticism. The light emitting from Laty's staff intensifies, as if indicating its destination. In response to the enigmatic voice, Laty's staff exudes a dazzling light. A spirit appears right before your eyes. Well, maybe it's a spirit? It's some kind of strange stuffed animal. The stuffed toy seems to be affecting a voice of considerable gravitas and choking itself in the process. This creature is called Laty. Though you cannot be certain it speaks the truth, it claims to be a spirit. You approach, hoping to ask about the maiden, but with blinding speed, Laty zooms behind Laty, putting her between you as a shield. "You're the one from before," Laty says, quaking. It would appear that you're mistaking the creature for a monster, and doggedly chasing after it has made it rather afraid of you. You hold out an offer of reconciliation, and Laty takes it and immediately starts munching away. Between, you're not really sure if the make good worked out, but in any event, Laty looks willing to listen to you now. You ask about the maiden once more, and Laty begins to talk a lot. It seems to enjoy doing so. Just as the maiden's myth handed down amongst the denizens of the island suggests, it explains, Laty was indeed born to be the maiden here. However, she was unable to take up her role. This has caused no small amount of distress over the island's inevitable destiny to sink beneath the raging waves. Laty concludes with a proposal. How's about you go and meet with the other maidens and fetch the maiden's relics? As you had hoped, Laty appears to be the key to the island's salvation. If Laty becomes a maiden and performs the maiden's ritual at the altar, the island can be saved. You ask, should we kill the maidens and steal the relics? Laty shakes her head rapidly, as if to insist that you definitely should not do that. As Lack explains, each maiden has an attendant, an escort, and protector. This would make it difficult to take the relics by brute force. This island is not the only one home to a spirit. There are islands throughout this archipelago, and upon each, the self-proclaimed spirit explains that if you bring the maiden's relics that each of these maidens possess back to this spire, Laty will be able to. Laty shows the staff in her hand, wearing an expression that seems to say the world-changing immensity of what you have just learned echoes in your mind. But it does just so happen you've been readying a seaworthy vessel for your own purposes. You accept Lack's proposal to help Laty become a maiden. So, you want me to poof you back to the entrance? You decide to make for the spire's exit. Accompanied by your new allies, you make to enter the village. But Laty seems to find something about this idea disagreeable and clings to a tree nearby, refusing to budge. "Oh, I got this one," says Lack, evidently with some kind of plan in mind. The fluffy creature begins to chant a sort of mysterious spell. Suddenly, Laty's face is transformed into that of an odd old man's. Laty touches her transformed visage and then gives a thumbs up, perhaps as if to say, "Good job. You are a god." But Laty looks sideways at you as she walks into the village, her identity now safely hidden. You hear voices inside. Grief appears to be holding a meeting with the other villagers to ease their troubled mind. This is your home. A desk pushed up near the wall, the navigation map is of your own design. It contains information on the maidens of those nearby islands. Before all of this, you had found yourself unable to merely sit and watch the village's decline, and so planned a voyage to seek aid. After popping into the back room, you emerge with a carefully polished ship's wheel. It is the final piece of the ship you restored at the grotto. With it, you will finally be able to set sail on the voyage you have dreamed of for so long. You have made ready for the voyage, but before you set sail, you decide to stop in at the mayor's to say your farewells. Grieth's eyes fall over the unfamiliar face behind you. And who do we have here? At your quick response, Grieth blinks a few times in confusion. His eyes dart back and forth between the pair of you, as though his brain is putting together the pieces of a complex puzzle. Changing the subject, You explain to the mayor that you'll be leaving the village for a little while on a voyage to save the island. You felt sure that the mayor, with his love of the village, would... And yet the moment you explain that you found a maiden who can save the island, his attitude changes. This island is destined to meet its end, he says. You cannot fathom why he, the mayor of the village, would believe something like... Though each of you hold the island in your hearts, you cannot reconcile the difference of opinion. Like lovers going their separate ways after an acrimonious spat, it looks as though you will be setting out on bad terms. You believe that your desire to save the island will prove to be the right perspective. Don't hold back. Your ship, your trusted companion. Once a mere wrecked husk that you labored, you climb up to the stern. And with every bit of care you can muster, you attach the wheel. At last, your ship is finished. The vessel's design is patterned after a great whale. There are a number of mismatched parts, but that particular quirk, as you look over your handiwork, you realize that your companion on this upcoming journey will need a name. What would a fitting name be? Lack answers, Lack, the great and powerful. You elect to ignore him. Laty tears a page from her book and then scribbles a name down on it. In her small hand, according to Lack, the words are a kind of prayer in the language of the spirits for safe passage when bidding one farewell. A farewell said before long journeys. You're unsure of just how much you ought to trust Lack or his skill with words. Together, you load up the bon vent with the necessary provisions. Preparations for your departure are now finished. You throw your hands upon the ship's wheel and shout, "Weigh anchor!" with gusto. Your voyage has begun. Though your ship had long since forgotten the taste of seawater, it is your first sea voyage. Laty's eyes glitter as she looks out at the horizon, stretching ever onward over the endless blue expanse. She opens up your homemade navigation map, checking the locations of the island. On the island to the south of here lives a beauteous maiden garbed in azure robes, as though the sky itself is wrapped around her. After closing up the map, you grasp the wheel like a familiar old friend and tell the ship where you'd like. You now have free rein to sail across the sea as you see fit. New tales await you when you put into port on an island where a maiden dwells. A large chest floats in the water before you, no more than an arm's length away. You take hold of the chest and pull it forward. When you do, the lid springs open and a monster leaps out, enraged that you have disturbed its slumber. Fight him off. After vanquishing the beast, you peer inside the chest. You grin, realizing that your find may be able to aid you on your journey. Nope. Stop right there. You spot something blown into the sky from a whale's spout. It looks like it might fall this way, but it's hard to make out. You open your arms wide to catch some sort of item. You gladly accept it as a gift from heaven. I don't know what it is, but there's just something so relaxing about the sound of waves, isn't there? You steer the boat out of the falling object's trajectory. It hits the water and sinks below the waves. And fight. Ahoy, matey. It's like you can feel the sea breeze. And fight. Ah, the great open sea. Huzzah! What an adventure! Oh, excuse me. You can't go into an island while you're still on your ship, okay? You cross the sea and arrive at the South Isle. On the South Isle, you will hear the tale of a maiden in blue. Very well then. Prepare to go ashore. bright rays of sunlight beam down onto the warm south aisle. Something about the place reminds you of the refreshing cool of the ocean. After weighing anchor and docking your ship at the pier, you go ashore, utterly exhausted from hours at the helm. You stretch your legs for a moment, then open up your map. Once you have your heading, you and the others make for the village of Cofton in the south. Okay, now let's go. Good work. This must be a stela of the Isle's guardian spirit. Good work. Okay, hold up. Yeah. So hot, you grumble, as you use your shirt to fan yourself. Wondering how Laty is holding up, you turn and see her squeezing a blue ball of fluff tightly. She begins to rub her cheek against it. From the elated look in her eyes, you can only guess, but the sight sends shivers down your spine. Laty, that's a monster, you shout, readying your weapon.
Oh, anjir nih bosnya.
Show him what you got.
Oh, happenstance. Nice. Dah. Add value of short target attack. Buff dulu kan. Sulap.
Excellent.
Mampus. Easy.
The village floats in the center of a cove. The gentle lapping of waves fills the air. Coveton seems like a peaceful place, far removed from conflict. As you enter the village, you're greeted by an unusual sight. A paper doll flitters about like a bird above a man's hand. The man sees your curious gazes and explains that he animates it with a magic charm. He claims that all the villagers use such spells to enrich their lives. At your straightforward question, the man appears to be at a loss for words. Though the maiden isn't here now, you know for certain that you thank the man, then resume your search for the maiden. The old woman stares intently into a crystal ball. She tells you she first used magic when she divined who she would marry, nigh on 50 years ago. You can't help but admire her dedication to the craft. The entrance to the shrine is resplendent with seashells. The maiden must be innkeeper's eyes light up in surprise and delight. She clearly has you confused with someone else. But on the plus side, she is extremely happy to see you. So happy, in fact, she waives the fee for your room. The party leaves the inn feeling rested. The village gets so lively when the maiden is here, the man mutters, his brow furrowed with worry. The woman sighs. That maiden's gone. Despite being tasked with protecting the village, it seems she has quite the infamous reputation. This is the game parlor. Come play cards, the boy at reception calls. Not bad, the boy praises you, proffering a gift in commemoration of your first win. The man tells you the village may be renowned for its magic charms, but the tasty fish caught here aren't half bad either.
Kenapa begitu badannya anjing?
Face contorted in concentration, you ask him about the maiden. I saw her at the wonder of wonders. The paper bird flaps its wings and flies about, showing you where the maiden's shrine is. A well-maintained fishing boat sits anchored in the water. You glance at the catch on board and deem it acceptable. At the heart of the shrine, you see a young woman and man discussing something in earnest. The woman's name is Fila. She is, without a doubt, the maiden shouldering the isle's fate. The man's name is Hyde. He is the maiden's wise attendant. Excuse me. I need to speak with the maiden, you say, interjecting yourself into their conversation. Fila whirls to you and asks, which do you think is cuter? Though you're baffled by the sudden and unrelated question, she doesn't miss a beat and shows you a seashell in each of her hands. Caught in the moment, you mumble an unexpected answer beneath your breath. You quickly realize your mistake and look around when... Oh my, Fila remarks bashfully. Hyde simply gives a huh in response. Laty looks off into the distance, her lips pursed as if whistling, though no sound comes out. Lack, annoyed for some reason, seems on the verge of rebuking you. Apparently, the maiden and her attendant had wagered on which shell was cuter. You had heard about the Azure Maiden from the villagers, but now you see for yourself that she's quite the free. You explain to them why you've come and ask if Fila will lend you her maiden's relic. Despite knowing the circumstances, Hyde tells you that things just aren't that simple. You take a deep breath and prepare to persuade them when I'll let you borrow it if you help me find the pirate's treasure, Fila says. She explains that there are rumors of pirate treasure hidden within the crystal cave southeast of the village. Pirates, you murmur. You think about it for a moment, but with little... You never change, sighs Hyde. But Fila pays him no mind as she prepares to embark on the adventure. All right, things have taken a very lively turn, haven't they? You spy a parcel on the roadside. As you pick it up, you are inspecting the parcel. You read its intended destination was Coveton. You know not its contents. But will you complete its delivery? You decide to deliver it on your way and tuck the parcel into your bag. Having arrived in Coveton, a woman asks you. She says she's been waiting forever at the village entrance for a delivery. It seems the parcel contained an while dancing a jig in celebration of her long-awaited perfume. She hands you a gratuity for carrying it all this way. You come across an open-air stall. A sign reads, "Goods bought here." As you peer into the stall, its proprietress calls out to you, but this determines the price. She continues, revealing the die in her hand. It seems she's finished buying for the day. The proprietress begins closing up shop, and you go on your way. The Crystal Cave, teems with the stones that your party and Fila have become fast friends. Though Laty seems somewhat nervous to finally have a female friend, the loose-lipped Fila tells you all sorts. Hyde seems on edge about her blasé divulgences. You give him a pat on the shoulder, quietly sympathizing with him. Fight him off. You can see what looks like a chest within the shadows on the opposite bank. Unfortunately, you can't cross over with the water raging as it is. Congrats. You come across a large boulder. You aren't sure where it fell from, but some of it is submerged in the waterway, and the five of you rally together, then push, and... the boulder sinks into the water, stopping its flow completely. Fila hugs Hyde in her excitement. He blushes in embarrassment at their public display of affection. Laty covers her face with her hands, but peeks at them through her fingers. Fight him off. Magnificent. Fight him off. And fight. Fight him off. Just as you're about to open the chest, Fila interjects. I didn't tell. Laty's face goes pale, and she squeezes Lack in her arms. I'm just kidding, Fila says. Who goes there? A voice echoes through the cavern.
Wih, bosan.
My treasure. You sense a dangerous aura in the shadow of the chest, and immediately prepare for battle.
Wadaw, 1911. Alah. Astaga, emang sengaja kayaknya ini. Nah, gitulah.
Fortune favors the bold.
Lupa sama komen-komennya apa ya.
Magnificent. Two fight as one.
Anjing. Goblok.
After the battle, you finally reach what looks to be hundreds of colorful seashells. The room falls quiet as everyone stares at the chest. After a long moment of sulking, she points to the rocky wall upon closer inspection. You realize that there's a crevice just wide enough for a person to squeeze through.
Anjir. Waduh.
You discover a chest in the cavern depths. Your allies rummage through its contents, but don't find anything resembling pirate treasure. Fight him off. Magnificent. A droplet of water falls. Once the ripples upon the surface still, a beautiful underground lake. Your collective breaths are taken. The lake's light reflects in Fila's eyes. "I'm so happy we can see this together," she whispers. Though you had come to the cave in search of treasure, you return to Coveton, basking in the afterglow of such a marvelous discovery. You arrive back at Coveton safe and sound. Apparently, she took it from the cave so that Hyde could make them match. With a sigh, her attendant agrees and says he will need to borrow the proper tools from the accessory shop. An air of gloom hangs over one corner of the village, asking a nearby fellow what happened. Talk is, the woman was wearing perfume. They only discovered it after the fact. But that perfume was actually some sort of juju expressly for attracting monsters. You recall the woman to whom you delivered the parcel you picked up. Even if I didn't know, I'm the one who gave her the perfume. You say a prayer for the woman's repose and quietly take your leave.
Udah dulu kayaknya. Capek. Thank you kalau ada yang nonton. See you.